Welcome to JMR Talks. Today we will discuss about psychological safety. Most of us might have been seeing, this topic is being discussed what called repeatedly, especially in the post-COVID what called times. Now, what is psychological safety? Psychological safety refers to a situation where there is no fear, people are not scared of being punished or humiliated for speaking up, what I call their suggestions, their views, their ideas, etc., etc. Why psychological safety? Psychological safety results in happier times, increased employee engagement, genuine concern for employee well-being, and it also results in lower churn rates and reduced costs of recruitment and what we call absenteeism. We all know that Google is the most preferred what we call employer, and most of the youngsters what we call they love to what we call join Google. One of the most significant success factor of what we call Google as a company is the psychological safety that is what we call ensured at the workplace. So when there is a psychological safety at the workplace, people feel safe to take risks and they are willing to be vulnerable in front of what we call each other. Now this kind of situation leads to what we call extraordinary performance, ensuring dependability and what we call clarity. Now when you look at the concept of psychological safety, we are reminded of what we call Amy Edmondson. She is the one what we call who picked up, who coined this word, psychological safety. She says that in a situation of uncertainty and what we call interdependency, which we are witnessing, we call right now, psychological safety is what we call is a must. Cornell Professor Kathleen, he says that when we fail to what we call bring, what we call information knowledge, their individual knowledge, in the absence of what we call psychological safety. Now, why people are what we call recruited? People are recruited, for their specific knowledge and specific what we call wisdom, that can be leveraged for the accomplishment of organization tasks. But when people don't get that an opportunity to share their information, to share their knowledge, for resolving the organizational issues, that results in what we call common knowledge effect, which Kathleen what we call calls it. Now, being risky, but do share what we call continuously. What do I mean? Though people are what we call scared of sharing information, their ideas, discussing about organization related matters. But in reality, what happens here? They do share, what we call while sipping coffee or near the what we call water cooler and all that. So instead of that, why not we ensure a situation wherein people are not scared of what we call sharing their ideas, opinions, etc. When we are discussing about psychological safety, it's also what we call important to what we call make a distinction between radical candor and psychological safety. Few people are under the impression that radical candor means is what we call brutally honest. That means whatever you feel like you can say left and right. No, radical candor refers to what we call caring personally and engaging what we call directly. On the other hand, when we say psychological safety, we are not saying that no one hurts, what we call everyone agrees and all that. No, it's all about what we call open dialogue. Now look at what we call the diagram. Where I'm showing what is psychological safety, what is not psychological safety. Now many of us must be familiar with what we call three things. Number one, being wrong is avoided like a plague. So when this thing happens, people who are interested in what we call managing impressions. So when that sort of situation prevails, it's not an ideal environment for innovating. So how to what we call come over this? Foster a healthy culture of debate, wherein people say, okay, being wrong is okay, as long as people are willing to what we call learn and what we call improve. Second, blame is more important than what we call gratitude. Why not managers what we call start showing gratitude for the work and the effort invested rather than simply looking at the outcomes? In other words, what I'm saying is it's time for what we call moving from outcome based approach to what we call effort based approach. But when I say this, I'm not trying to undermine the importance of what I call outcomes. But at times, we need to what I call appreciate the efforts put in by the employees despite not getting the what I call desired results. The third, ignoring outlying views, contrarian views. The best thing is, why not we start actively listening to the people? How to create psychological safety in our teams? Amy Edmondson and Kim Scott, the co-founder of Random, Kinda, they what I call share 4 tips to create psychological safety in our teams. When we say psychological safety, it's not about being comfortable all the time. It's about being what I call discomfort also. It's about embracing the what I call discomfort. So let's have a look at what I call those 4 steps suggested by Amy and what I call Kim Scott for creating psychological safety. Number 1, solicit criticism. Allow people to ask questions. Embrace what I call discomfort. Reward the what I call candor. Allow the people to what I call to express. Second, give praise. Now, most of the times, managers are in a dilemma how to what I call share the negative and the positive things and all that. I personally feel that it's always good to what I call start with the good things. First, notice the good work, appreciate them. Then once people get used to it, start pointing out flaws, what I call in their work, etc. And definitely they will not take seriously. Maybe the good things in the back maybe in the ratio of 3:2, will do. Second, give criticism. If a young man keeps working without getting any feedback, about how he is working, is like what I call dead man walking, because he is unsure of what exactly he is doing. So constructive feedback is what I call must. But when we say giving feedback, gauging the feedback also is very important. How you are sharing what I call your feedback. If what I call the other side feels what I call obnoxious, then you are landing in trouble. So we must see the what kind of impact it is what I call creating on the what I call other side. Otherwise we may have to be very tactful what I call in communicating what I call the message. So the most important thing is when we are communicating the feedback, see the what I call that you are creating value, communicating value, and delivering value in terms of making the employee what I call understand. Candor and climate of psychological safety are both mutually what I call reinforcing. If somebody say us that in today's work environment where we are talking about volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous situation, whether do we require candor and climate of psychological safety? Definitely, I'll say that is more important than ever. Now, Wendy Hitch, in his 2017 article written for Science for Work, he mentions about what are the 3 things which are worth recollecting. Number 1, psychological safety exists when people can speak up, offer ideas, and ask questions. Second, psychological safety is related to what we call learning behavior. That means ever willing to learn and what we call improve. And thirdly, psychological safety relates to a situation where people are assured of support from their colleagues, their dependency, and clear what we call job responsibilities. Monte Peterson, in his latest what we call LinkedIn post, while dealing with subject, sharing the benefits of psychological safety, he says, consistent and collaborative communication is a key for what I call ensuring psychological safety at the workplace. So what is that what needs to be done? The role clarity, the peer support, interdependence. When you are talking about developing goals, communicating them, measuring the progress, communication is the what I call key. So psychological safety is a key to an enjoyable working life. In terms of Gallup's findings, we came to know that it's a manager who plays a key role in creating a strong and vibrant work environment. But are we creating a what I call work environment which is enjoyable for all the people being present? So creating what I call psychological safety is what I call is the key for productive, enjoyable work life. Now, when psychological safety is what I call embedded culturally and held in what I call high esteem, people start respecting it, and people what call start what call honoring it. That's what Monday Peterson was saying in his LinkedIn post. So let the organizations what I call embed this psychological safety in their culture and hold it in what I call high esteem, so that people start honoring it, respecting it. And needless to say, psychological safety at the workplace leads to what I call happier what I call teams, okay, increased employee engagement, and increase in concern for employee what I call well-being, and reduce what I call churn rates, and decrease the cost of recruitment and what I call absenteeism. Thank you.